It's time for the main event. It's the Shoeshine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave from the 408, podcasting to you all the way from the city of sin, Las Vegas, for a special 4th of July edition of the Shoeshine. Shout out to everybody just joining us in the room. I appreciate you. You guys don't know how much I appreciate you. I know you could be doing a million other things and be kicking it with your boy Dave and Philly Irish straight up from the city of brotherly love. My homeboy Drew Evo. Que pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
What's up? It's Monday night before the big holiday. I'm blessed to have a 4-day weekend. So I didn't even know if we were going to get together, man, because the fights this weekend were... I mean, you know, we had a great round table. Shout out to D Styles, who I just saw a minute ago. We had a good round table. Like I said, we had Roberto Diaz on there, formerly of Golden Boy Entertainment. And we were all hyped about this Jared Anderson fight, the big Ohio heavyweight, whether or not he's going to be the future star of the heavyweight division, Drew. And I was gloating about the guy saying the sky's the limit. He's the next heavyweight champ. And to be honest, that was kind of a necessary fight that he had to get under his belt at home. And we're going to get to that fight and recap, Drew. But some other stuff went down. And of course, huge news for the city of Las Vegas. All right, because Mexican Independence Day is one of the biggest fight weekends in all of the history of Las Vegas. And the UFC has locked down the T-Mobile Arena, Drew. We knew about that. We didn't have a dance partner for Canelo. And I got to get your thoughts, man, because I heard the thoughts on Paulie Malignaggi, what he had to say about this. I think we were all shocked, especially when you called me to tell me Canelo will be fighting Jermell, 154-pound undisputed champ of the world, 2 weight classes below. You'll be fighting Jermell in a huge $100 million PBC deal. Talk to me, Drew. Let's get Drew cooking, guys. Everybody, shout out to everybody joining us. JC, Sontil Media, Lukey Boxing, guys. The phone line is open. Michelle Monroe, thank you so much for being here. I know you got a million things you could be doing. Remy, and of course, JC, and everybody out there who's silently watching. I appreciate you. Drew, huge news, dog. Paulie Malignaggi said he killed 2 super fights in 1 shot.
Is it a good way or a bad way? How are you taking it?
I mean, I want to hear Drew's opinion because I'm sure people are wondering what you think about this, first time in history.
I'll be honest. I didn't mind him fighting Charlo, the 160 Charlo and everything, because it was a fight that some people wanted. But this is a cherry pick. I really think so. I don't care what anybody says, because here's the thing too. This is a cherry pick. Just like when I said if Benavidez fights Munguia, it's a cherry pick also. You could have fought somebody else that's in 168. But you chose to fight a guy that's 2 weight classes below you. I'm sorry. I'm not going as far as a certain couple people are saying Canelo's a disgrace to boxing, because he's not. Because he's not a disgrace to boxing. I don't know. That's just a bad take. But This is a cherry pick because the dude is 2 weight classes below you. I don't care if they're the same height and everything. Canelo's been campaigning at 168. Jamil Charlo has campaigned at 154. It's just like that. I don't care. Like, people are going to bring facts out saying, oh, this fight's going to make money. This fight does not clip 100 million pay-per-view buys. No, 1 million pay-per-view buys. It does not. Not even close. If the Charlos did a card themselves on pay-per-view and it barely broke 100,000 pay-per-view buys, what's to say Canelo's is gonna help any more than make this fight maybe no more than 600K pay-per-view buys? Because people are now looking at it like this. He signed a contract with PBC. So now they're expecting the David Benavidez fight. They're expecting possibly a Jamal Charlo fight. Or they're expecting a David Morrell fight to happen. But to be honest, I'm not like, props to Charlo for stepping up and taking it and getting his payday and everything. He's undisputed and everything. And for the people, the same people that are loving this fight are the same people that have been saying Jamil Charlo's ducking Tim Tszyu. Let's put that out there right now.
All right. Hey, we got a phone call. I'm going to take the call, but I want to get my point across really quickly. Let's take this call from the 510. 510, you're on with the Shoeshine.
What's up, Dave? What's up, Drew? Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, ¿qué pasa, Nando? Thanks for calling us on the 4th of July weekend. This was kind of early for him. I know you got something to say to Drew, but I want to say, the 2 fights Paulie Malignaggi is referencing, killing 2 super fights. Obviously, guys, it's one that the majority of boxing fans are dying to see, and that's the WBC mandatory David Benavidez, La Bandera Roja, who had a fantastic performance in Las Vegas just a couple months back, just as I moved here. That fight is off the table for now. Maybe let's be real. That fight wasn't even in the mind of Canelo Alvarez probably. And the other super fight that gets destroyed with this is the fact that we've all seen Tim Tszyu, the son of the great legendary Australian fighter, do everything he's supposed to do to rise to that ranking and wait for Jermell, the undisputed 154-pound champ. Wait for him and keep fighting and stay active like he just did a couple of weeks ago with a sensational knockout. He's done everything asked of him by the sanctioning bodies, by the sport of boxing, by tradition, and he's not going to get his crack at Jermell. And the way I see it, guys, let me know what you guys think, but I don't think Jermell's ever coming back to 154. Nobody who's ever moved up 2 weight classes successfully trains himself back to fight and defend. So those titles, it's only going to be a matter of time. I am anxiously awaiting what the sanctioning bodies will say as these 4 belts should get relinquished. Nando, what you got to say to Drew? Nando still there? Drew, you're still here, right? I don't know. It could be my phone line. Nando, call back if you got disconnected. But Drew, you were saying cherry pick. A lot of people will be.
Hey, Drew,
I can hear you now.
Good. I can finally hear you. I'm about to say.
Hey, I got a question for Drew. How long have you been watching boxing, Drew? 5, 10 years? Just so I don't go too hard on you, man. How long have you been watching boxing?
Oh shit!
Since I was little. And the thing about it is, if you're gonna approve of this fight, man, don't tell me no bullshit because I'm gonna counter it like I'm gonna counter Remy's statement in a couple minutes. And everything.
All right, well, I got a quick test for you, Drew. You ever heard of Bob Foster? You ever heard of Bob Foster? You ever heard of him?
Bob what?
No, huh? You never heard of Bob Foster, huh?
Well, dude, please grace us with the knowledge of this fight, of this fighter, of this fight, Nando.
All right, dude, so Bob Foster is one of the greatest light heavyweight champions of all time. Google him.
Okay.
About 175 pounds. He moved up to heavyweight to fight Muhammad Ali. So I don't know how many weight classes that was. And you know what they didn't call Muhammad Ali? A cherry picker, right? And you know who else jumped more than one division for a championship? Canelo against Kovalev. You know who else has done it? Bernard Hopkins against Tarver. And I don't think they call Tarver a cherry picker either. But for whatever reason, there's people out there like Drew that don't give a fuck what Canelo does. They're going to shit on it. You know? It is what it is, I guess.
Drew, do you feel you're shitting on him? And by the way, guys, I just put up. I'm thinking of all the great fights where someone dared to go up 2 weight classes. We know. You pointed, Nando. You made a great point that Canelo did go up 2 weight classes, and my opinion of him changed greatly the night that he knocked out Kovalev. But it has not gone historically well for people who try this. Unbelievable. There's weight classes for a reason, as we all know. Juan Manuel Marquez, one of the greatest lightweights, moves up 2 weight classes, and Floyd even gives him a catch weight, which he ignored on that night. He came in way over the 144 weight limit they had agreed upon. And I mean, Floyd toyed with the great Juan Manuel Marquez. So, Drew, is this the way you see it? Is it you see it that he's just going to toy with a much, much smaller Jermell Charlo?
First of all, Bernard Hopkins moved up from 160 to 175 and absolutely dominate Antonio Tarver.
There you go.
Number two.
Thank you.
But here's the thing. Different photo. Number 2.
Hey, did you call Tarver a cherry picker before the fight, Drew? Hey, Drew, quick question. Were you calling Tarver a cherry picker before the fight started? I'm just wondering.
Let me finish.
I didn't think so.
Let me finish. Number 2. Canelo moved to light heavyweight to face Sergey Kovalev when not even 2 months Sergey Kovalev was coming off a fight with Anthony Yarde when he almost got stopped at. And he was clearly not the best light heavyweight in that division anymore. He was out of his prime and watched.
He was a lineal. He was a lineal champion, buddy.
And he got him off not even a 2-month layoff. So that was kind of a cherry pick. And I said that the whole time as a cherry pick. Now, to me, saying I always show Canelo, no, I do not always show Canelo. I actually gave him props for moving up to face Bivol because Bivol is actually possibly the best light heavyweight right now, and move up. And then I gave him props for winning at undisputed super middleweight and everything. So the only reason I do not like this fight because there are other fights on the table in super middleweight that he could explore. We do not. I would be okay with him fighting.
Give me names. Give me names, though. Benavidez, Dad said he wasn't available. So
but Wells available.
Manager,
Demetrius Andre, they could possibly sign Demetrius Andre.
Ain't nobody fighting Demetrius Andre. Come on, man. Give me a real name, homie. Real one. Real one.
We're not going to go and approve of this fight because, tell you the truth, now it's getting to the point that if we're allowing somebody else to move up 2 weight classes so Canelo can fight him, are we always going to allow this? No. It's time. This is getting to the point.
It's not that big of a deal, though. It's not that big of a deal. Mosley did it against De La Hoya. It wasn't that big of a deal, man. You guys aren't making it a big deal because Canelo. But and it's not exactly what you want, right? That's why you call it a cherry pick. Anytime Canelo doesn't do exactly what you guys want, it's a cherry pick. That's what you guys are talking about all the time, man. You guys are all the same.
All the same, God. Lumping all of these people into one. Come on, Nando.
Yeah. Yeah,
Boxing MMA 365. Shout out to him. He also agrees with Drew. I guess he's part of all the same crew. Now, he says it's a cherry pick by Canelo.
Before Nando said
Boxing MMA is fake news, man. Fake account. I don't care about him.
Nando revealed to himself that he actually tried everyone out or something because he said we're all the same and everything. But
I'm making a white thing, Drew. I'm whiter than you, man. What are you talking about? I'm making a white thing. No,
it's not about race.
Calm down.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not making a race thing. Like, you're saying you're all the same. If you were a female, I would say, hey, don't try. No one told you to try it out anyway. You slut. I would have said it. But that's how I would tell it if it's a female thing. But here's the thing. The same people that are loving this fight are the people that are saying Jermell Charlo is ducking Tim Tszyu. And that's true. Because a couple of weeks before this fight was made, they were saying Tim Tszyu is ducking that's Jermell Charlo is ducking Tim Tszyu. And then a couple of weeks later, fast forward a couple of weeks later, they say, oh, we love this fight. We love this fight. But you guys said that he was ducking Tim Tszyu. So what is it? Is he ducking Tim Tszyu? Or do you love the fight and everything?
He's ducking Tim Tszyu. He's ducking Tim Tszyu, man. He doesn't want any part. The guy got heavy hands. And look, I think he was on his way out.
Let me ask you a question.
He was on his way out of the division.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Drew. If they offered this $10 million to Tim Tszyu right now against Canelo, you don't think he would take it?
What, for Tim Tszyu to move up to fight Canelo?
Yeah, if I offered him a Canelo fight right now instead of Jermell, or you don't think he'd take it? I know he would. I absolutely know
He probably would, but
One, Jim
they
Drew's a dog like that, but he take the money too, man.
But the thing about
You
it
don't
is,
turn down a
the
Canelo
same
fight unless you're
people,
Bebo. Unless you're dumbass Bebo, you don't turn down a Canelo fight.
because he deserves the opportunity to fight for undisputed super middleweight. He beat the dude already. All he's asking for is to fight for his belts, because he let him fight for his belts. He beat him. He defended his belt against him. Now you defend your belts against me. It's the only fair. You can't have the same terms all the time. He beat you already. It doesn't matter. Like, let's say if fucking like Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, but I got to stop you right there. That Bivol move, whether or not he deserved it in the eyes of the public, it completely is backfired, man. He's so desperate now. He's talking about he'll move to 168 to fight Charlo, who should Charlo beat Canelo. I mean, at this point, like he's desperate for a dance partner with a big name because he fucked himself. He really fucked himself not taking that fight at the same terms that he had the first time around, and now he's kind of squeezed himself out of a high price, prize fight. That's on him. That's on him. There is a business aspect to it. I agree with you that he deserved a shot, but you can't convince the cash cow to do what you want. I mean, that's why he's the cash cow. He's still the face of boxing. I feel bad for Bivol. He's in a bad spot, man. He can't get anything at 175. But
here's the thing. This is a lose-lose for Canelo Alvarez.
Lose?
If he wins this fight, they're going to say he brought a dude up from 2 weight classes. If he loses this
You're
fight,
going to say, Drew, I'm not going to say that. Who's we? You're going to say, not me. You're going to say. What is we stuff?
If he loses this fight, they're going to say the declines. He's on.
You're going to say, not we. Don't include me in that one.
He's done.
I'm a little smarter than that. I'm smarter than that.
Let me tell you something. That's what's going to happen. It's a lose-lose situation for Canelo Alvarez to take this fight. The only thing that
Canelo's gonna get criticism no matter what he does, man. Might as well get paid. It's a good fight. Hey, check this out, dude. This is gonna sell more pay-per-views than a Benavidez fight because the Charlos bring their own fans. It's gonna be the same thing as Tank versus Ryan. It's gonna be the same thing as Tank versus Ryan. People were surprised when I made over 1 million buys, right? It's the same reason. Jermell has his own fan base.
But how much did the Charlo pay-per-views do together when they're on the same thing? Not even 100,000. They barely broke.
How much did Tank do by himself? Tank didn't even do 100,000 buys barely by himself.
We're not gonna really.
It's the same theory, man. Open your mind, dude.
It's gonna be $600K to Donda get this pay-per-view done.
$1 million, buddy. $1 million. I'll put money on that.
Well, let me ask the chat. Drop your comment for one, it's a win for the sport of boxing. Two, it's a big loss for the sport of boxing. For me, guys, I'm upset actually that because they took so long to have a fight come to fruition for Canelo, he got pushed and shoved by the UFC again. The UFC booked the venue. Everything is booked in Las Vegas for Mexican Independence Day. So this super fight comes 2 weeks after Mexican Independence Day. It's kind of an afterthought at this point now. And Drew brings up a relevant point. Canelo losing this fight in an upset could be, the beginning of the end, even though he just signed a 3-fight deal. How do you come back from that in the public eye? I don't think he loses the guy, but still, is it a lose-lose situation? Hey, shout out to my boy Roy from the Bay Area. Thank you for joining us, and everyone else. Tony Boswell, I see you. I appreciate you guys. Drop your comment. Let me know if this was a good pick for Canelo. And some of the shit I've been seeing on some of these boxing media sites like Boxing 24/7, I don't know if they're outrageous. Nando, I don't know if you've seen this now. These 3-fight deal, obviously to me, the harder the fights get, progressively harder and harder, because that's what I would want if I was Al Heyman. And I'm seeing Big Charlo, Jermall as a second opponent, and potentially even Errol Spence, 140. I thought it was going to be Benavidez and David Morrell as okay, you get an easy fight to stay busy, and then you get the 2 tough guys of your own division, one of them being WBA. I don't know if there's any truth to that, or, what kind of sources they have, because they're not known for their sources. It sounds like, but damn, Nando, is that some bullshit? That's some bullshit to see him fight Errol Spence, right? I mean, am I the only one thinking that?
I'm thinking it too.
Well, I don't know, dude. It depends on what happens this next couple of weeks, right? I'm not thinking it's gonna happen. But let's say Spence knocks out Bud, I think he's going to have a bigger mandate to fight Canelo than Benavidez, man. If Benavidez wants a mandate to fight Canelo, he needs to beat Morrell. The winner of Morrell versus Benavidez, that's who gets Cinco de Mayo if he can, or next year. But if they don't fight each other, then, nobody really cares about either guy, How much did Morrell sell on his last fight? Barely 100,000 pay-per-view buys himself, man. I mean, if I'm Canelo, I fight Jermell, then Jamal, and Spence knocks out Bud. I'm fighting him in September. And Benavidez and his whole family can go kick rocks.
Yeah, well, this has been a great opening segment, guys. This fight is official for September the 30th in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. If my mom is watching, Mom, you're gonna have to rebook your trip because I know you love to come on Canelo fights, so she's gonna have to rebook her whole vacation.
I look at it like this. We are tell you the truth, yeah, they should be fighting each other, Morrell and Benavidez, but we're probably gonna they're gonna try to make Benavidez with some Munir, which I think is a cherry pick, too. I think he bulldozes to fight, he bulldozes Munir.
All right, we'll get to that if it comes. I'd like to get excited about it, but who knows if that fight will ever come to fruition, too. We got another caller. Hey, Nando, call back later if you like on the show, man. I appreciate you. I wanted to take this next call.
Hey, peace of Drew and peace of Dave, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
All right, Nando. Hey, happy 4th of July to you and the fam. We got 925 on the Shoeshine. 925, what up?
It's Lukey.
Lukey Boxing in the house. My brother, thank you for stopping by. Lukey, do you want to chime in on this?
Monday night evening.
Yeah, that's right, Monday night evening. You want to chime in on this Canelo fight? That was huge news, probably the biggest news of last week.
I don't know if you and Drew are going to like it. I think Charlo's probably going to beat Canelo.
I'm not counting the guy out. He's got a fantastic skill set. He's got a mean streak. He proved a lot to me in that rematch of Tony Harrison. For Jermell, it's a win-win situation. It truly is. It's the biggest purse he'll ever take. And if he loses, there's no downside because he dared to be great. He's doing something fantastic.
David, Drew, there's no losers when everyone goes home in a Lamborghini, first and foremost. And second off, I would tell people to look at fights against Demetrius Hopkins and Gabe Rosado, and freak, I'm getting old because these fights, I feel like a lot of people didn't see them. But Jermell Charlo is known to be a boxer. It's just, as of late, he turned into Gerald McClellan and Julian Jackson. But he's a very, very fundamentally sound box move guy who has fast feet. And to me, the way Canelo looked in the Ryder fight and the Golovkin fight, he's slowing down. Mm-hmm. Yes, he can land a big punch and hurt Charlo, but this is going to be, I've seen people equate it to Kell Brook, Amir Khan, those type of fights. Those are fights that both those guys were winning until they lost. To me, I just think the size isn't as big of a gap. I don't think Canelo's a solid super middleweight. He's a strong guy, but I also think Jermell Charlo is really a middleweight. Could probably fight at super middleweight, maybe. And he's in his athletic prime, whereas I think Canelo, he's coming down the mountain, and you're seeing that he's trying to not fight guys in their prime, which is a good sign that he's not in his prime.
Very, very true. I got to agree with you right there, Drew. Lukey agrees. Lukey's sees the decline. We've seen the decline in the last two fights. And Jermell hasn't shown any sign of decline. My only question to you, Lukey, is how will he handle the weight gain? Will we see slower reflexes, slower hands, slower footwork?
Bro, this is the thing. Derek James is going to have two fights against Canelo. It's more than likely going to be Jermell Charlo Canelo. If Charlo beats him, where it's close, it'll probably be a rematch. And if he loses, I think Errol Spence is going to go straight into a Canelo fight. He might do a Crawford rematch, but I think Errol's going to do it. One of Derek James's fighters is going to beat Canelo. I don't know if it's Charlo or Errol, but one of them is going to beat him. And then the final fight will probably be Benavidez, because I think Benavidez is going to take some damage in these next couple of fights he's going to take. So that's kind of, I think the Benavidez fight is going to be the send-off fight, but I think that a Derek James fighter is going to be kind of like the last big loss on Canelo's record.
Very interesting. Shout out to my boy Sonteo Media. He says Lukey is a big Charlie Sheehy fan. And speaking of Charlie Sheehy, Lukey,
I was with him today, man. The stud.
Listen, I need to get him on the Shoeshine, brother, because I am going to be at his fight. Sinisa Estrada headlines at the end of this month at the at the Palms
Just tell
Casino.
me when, bro.
Palms
you got my
Casino.
phone number, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up because I'd love to have him on our show with you. I know he's going to be on the undercard of Sinisa Estrada at the end of the month at the Palms, which is going to be hosted.
On right now. Let me see. I'll text him.
If he's not available, no problem, bro. We could talk to him. Just I know before fight week, it's not a good time to intervene in fighters' conditioning. But I'm excited about that fight coming up. Drew Sinisa Estrada. That is the day before the big
That's my
big
favorite
fight.
fighter. Outside of Charlie and Gabriel, Sinisa Estrada, favorite fighter, men and women.
She's fantastic.
Female version of Roy Jones.
Well, let's get on. Well, let's get on to this main topic because I gotta pick your brain and Drew too. Because Baby Anderson, we were all on the round table. Shout out to D Style, and I was singing high praises, thinking the sky's the limit for him on Thursday. That he is almost a given to be the next future American heavyweight champion. And all of a sudden, I saw a lot of holes in his game that I haven't seen before. Something like this Edgar Berlanga's career at Top Rank, where he just blew through everybody in his first 15 fights. Baby Anderson was doing almost the exact same thing, and now we see him against a very tough, durable, something new to me because I never thought of Martin as tough and durable. Drew, he still had a lot left in the tank, and he came in shape. He looked good for Martin, right? And I was surprised to see so many holes in Jared Anderson, Big Baby's game. I'll start with Lukey and then Drew. Lukey, your take on Saturday.
My guy, Drew. Philly Drew hasn't gotten to talk yet.
Drew,
I like Philly Drew.
Let's go, man. Drew, man. Let's talk. Big Baby this Saturday night against former heavyweight champ, even though he was champ for one time, Martin. Your thoughts on what happened on Saturday night?
Tell you the truth, he went 12 rounds. He took a couple shots. He was hurt and everything. Like, I'm not overly concerned at all. But I was in Maestro's and Beeb's Discord, shout out to them, and I heard someone said that the real Big Baby equals trash, and I'm like, yeah, I could expect that coming from a dumb motherfucker like that all he has is bad takes, rarely has a good take. So I was like, okay, no, let me just say this right now. This was a learning experience, and he passed. And he showed that he's not just a knockout artist.
Well, he actually dominated. I think he still dominated the fight.
He really did something that really not a lot of these heavyweights do. Adjust during a round, a fight. He adjusted. He switched the southpaw, and that's why he got the knockdown at. When he switched the southpaw, midway through the round. And then his head movement, his footwork and everything. This kid can box. And I'm going to say this right now. The mistakes that he made were minor. If he fixes them, we may be looking at the next great heavyweight champion of the United States. And could be this generation could be potentially an unstoppable fighter to beat in the heavyweight division. And I'm going to say this right now. No, I have no JC. I have not been hanging out with that dude. Never in my life will do. And two, Jared the Big Baby Anderson is the future of the heavyweight division. He's not trash like some people think because they don't know how to read. They don't know how to watch boxing to save their freaking life. and everything, and all they want to do is judge people after one suspect round, because that's all he lost was one round, and he bounced back and dominated the rest of this fight. I don't get all the criticism. It's premature. I think people really need to see this kid has a lot of upside. And he showed it. He went the distance. He was not breathing out. It was Charles Martin, the one that was breathing out midway through the fight. Jared Anderson was fucking fresh. And I think people need to pump the brakes on this criticism. This kid has a potential of being the next best heavyweight, because I think he can be an unstoppable fighter if he corrects these little problems.
Well, he definitely had an opportunity to learn from one of the greatest when he was in camp with the Gypsy King. Lukey, I'm going to go to you because, I just want to correct myself here, Tony. I'm not comparing his talent to Edgar Berlanga by any means. What I'm saying was he got set up finally to be tested by the matchmakers at Top Rank. And we saw some things. It's not a full expose. He wasn't exposed as a hype job. That I could probably say about Berlanga was that he was a hype job. I just saw some things that needed to be worked on. And I can think of the fight of Daniel Dubois' progression over on the UK. Daniel Dubois stepped up way too fast against somebody who's arguably a top 5 fighter in the... what's the guy, Drew, he trains here in Vegas, the hammering.
Oh, Joe Joyce?
Joe Joyce, exactly. And that did not go well. And so I like the matchmaking they did with Martin. Lukey, did you like this fight? And did it play out the way you thought?
Didn't play out how I thought, but I mean, to me, I'm not super I'm more concerned about Jared saying he doesn't want to fight for more than like 3 or 4 years than I am about the fight. I think that could be concerning because that's a mentality thing, where if you run into a crazy person and you're rather reasonable, then there's a chance you lose because you're the reasonable man in an unreasonable sport. I felt like Jared fought well. This is the first time he fought a guy that's way bigger than him. That's like a NBA small forward. And he wasn't able to be physical and overpower the opponent. Like with these smaller heavyweights, there's been moments where he just kind of is like, okay, I'm coming in and I'm going to beat you up. And the fight's over. In this fight, he wasn't able to do that. Like, I think he knocked him down and said, B word, stay down. And like, it kind of pissed Charles Martin off. And I mean, he did well. I think that it's just when he got caught, the way he got caught stood out more than the good work he did. So it's an unfortunate thing where the most memorable shots just so happen to be the things his opponent did, such as Charles Martin clipping him and then winking at him in the final bell, the mid-round rocking. He's a young fighter. I mean, I still really like the Joe Parker fight because Joe Parker's a little bit smaller than him. Mm-hmm. It answers the question of, does the movement affect him? I think that's kind of a perfect next fight for him. But I'm not, like, what other, like, 14, 15 fighter is taking this caliber fight and being judged basically as a world champion? I think that his success is making us grade him very harshly.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Drew?
All right. The one thing is I need people to stop labeling him a prospect. He's no longer a prospect, guys. He's a contender now. He beat a former world champion. He's a contender now. So let's pump the brakes on the prospect talk. Oh, he's the 4th best prospect. He beats all those other 3 guys that people are talking about in the chat right now. Second, I don't agree with the Joseph Parker fight right now. I think Joseph Parker is too seasoned good right now for him. But he's
too small, Drew. He's going to get overwhelmed.
Here's the one fighter I would put there for him to take is another former champion, Lucas Brown. I will let him. I will put Lucas Brown against it because Lucas Brown showed up against Junior Foward and easily dismantled him in a round after going the distance with Joseph Parker in Australia.
That's an interesting
Let
name.
me push back. Big Baby Miller just knocked out Lucas Brown, so I guess my question would be, would you like to see the battle of the Big Babies?
I would
Because
love
Big
to see
Baby
that
Miller
fight.
just knocked out Lucas Brown.
I would think that would be a good fight too. But another good fight I would like to see, maybe Dubois, maybe like
I like that fight.
a Dillian White. I really think Jared Anderson destroys Dillian White. And that's another reason why I tell people, why are we seeing an Anthony Joshua Dillian White fight too? It's a tune-up for a tune-up with the Jermaine Franklin, or even Jermaine Franklin. That's another solid fight for Jared Anderson.
I was thinking about those battle-tested UK fighters, Drew. I was thinking about that Saturday night post-fight, thinking, okay, if he doesn't take on another former champion like Joe Parker or even Andy Ruiz, somebody who's battle-tested, who's been there with the best, to see how he does against those guys that will give him trouble and give him a good work rate. I wouldn't mind seeing those kind of fights. But I want to ask Lukey, because they made a big deal about this at Top Rank, and I think the signing of the gold medalist, the Olympic gold medalist, Javalov, is that correct? Is that how I pronounce his name, Javalov? I think that's a big deal because now
it's solid.
And how do you see that being an obstacle on his path of Jared Anderson to being a world title challenger? Because this is a guy who I think could seemingly do very well. He just won the gold. He's knocked out Richard Torres, who was signed first to Top Rank.
I see him as a bust. I've seen him since the Olympics. I've seen him. He's Mike Altamara hit it right on the head when I talked to him. I forget. You'd have to go back to when me and Mike talked, but Mike had this Russian heavyweight, and it's like such a good comp. But I think maybe it was. I'm not even gonna throw names out, but I think he'll be good. Like, he'll knock out the Arslan Becks and like the mid-level heavyweights. Guys like maybe like a Jeremiah Milton or a DeAndre Savage might end up having to fight him because he's going to be moved quickly. But I think when that Jolioff gets in there, the problem with him is he fights like a fencer and he's big and strong, but his head never gets off the line. And it's like when he gets to that highest level, it's like he's just going to really bank that he has a nuclear bomb, and people are just going to be passive the whole time. And I don't see his style aging well with what he has. I think he's going to take a lot of damage, and I honestly feel like Torres probably beats him in the pros. Jared probably beats. I feel like he's going to be like a high-profile win for like a future heavyweight star. I think that he's going to be a guy that people expect a lot of, but he hits hard and he's big, but I think he's extremely, extremely limited.
So it's very likely the signing.
Think that well, he's signed because, like, if you're a promoter, right? And I'm not trying to act like I'm a promoter because I'm not. I'm poor, and don't ask me for money because I'm broke. If you're a promoter, right? If we're doing the Shoeshine boxing promotions, if we have Torres, Jared Anderson, Tyson Fury under contract, your obligation to make fights for your matchmakers and the fans is to sign up as many heavyweights, because then you don't have to cross promote. So I think the signing of Jolioff, I believe he's with Lou DiBella. Lou DiBella has George Kambosos and a couple other fighters, one of which being Kurt Scooby, who I think is probably going to enter into one of these co-promotional DiBella top-ranked deals. Giovanni Santillan, who's fighting Eric Bonet, is in a co-promotion of top-ranked Thompson Boxing, I believe. Your obligation to the promotion is how many good fighters can we get and get them under contract and make these fights. So I think that really what this is let's get the 2020 Olympic gold medalist. There's a natural fight with Torres. There's a natural, because keep in mind, I'm pretty sure Jared Anderson lost to Richard Torres in the amateurs. And I'm also pretty sure, if I remember right, he was a cruiserweight in the amateurs when he was the number one guy in the country. So I think a lot of the perception of what's going on is going to unfold over time. But I think that I don't really see much other than him being kind of a transitionary champion, a possible belt holder who is the guy that ushers in a new era in the wrong way. Is the way I see him playing in a role in the sport.
I can't think too highly of Richard Torres. I think Richard Torres is too small for the heavyweight division. I think Richard Torres is better off as a cruiserweight because his size and the way he fights, he's going to get knocked out when he moves up in competition. He's going to get knocked out. And it's probably going to be against somebody that no one expects that's going to knock him out. He's going to probably be heavily favored, and he's going to get knocked out by that person. I've been saying this since he turned pro. Even before he was going to turn pro, he should campaign at cruiserweight. It's a better division. I mean,
he's basically Tommy Morrison, Drew. Like, he's just a guy that's going to punch with you, knock a guy out, and then he's going to get knocked out, and then it just starts up again. That's kind of what I see Torres as.
Tommy Morrison is light years ahead of this. Tommy Morrison and arguably had one of the best left hooks in heavyweight boxing in his day. This guy is undisciplined at times. Tommy Morrison was more disciplined than this. This dude's style is more suited as a cruiserweight than an heavyweight.
But there's no money at cruiserweight, Drew. I mean, I'd love to see him campaign down there too, but that's asking a lot for somebody who's been weighing this much weight and contended at the highest level of the Olympics and is a silver medalist to say meltdown.
I mean,
he's just not big enough.
Basically everybody. He beat everyone in the country except for one guy, basically, and he was stopping most of the heavyweights people like. To me, Torres is just a spinning image of Tommy Morrison. I think the unfortunate thing for Torres is two things. He's just been too inactive due to injuries, and fight fans are seeing too many fights of prospects. So I love seeing prospect fights, but I feel like people are now starting to get bad tastes in their mouth seeing developmental fights. So guys like Mark Castro, Richard Torres, some of these guys, I feel like people have negative things to say about them because they've just seen too many early fights.
Right. But Top Rank has a way of like, hey, we've signed this guy, we're going to put him on the card and feature him like they have Ali, and they're like Ali, the grandson, and they're all developmental fights. You were watching these guys learn on the job as professionals for most of them. That's I agree with that criticism. Guys, I want to move on from this, and I don't want to disrespect Franchon Cruz-Dezurn. I've met her. She was a lovely woman. But she had a tough test this Saturday night, Drew, and fighting Savannah Marshall. Some say Savannah Marshall is right up there with, the GWOAT, greatest woman of all time. Clarissa Shields. I didn't think she would get past this test. Lukey, I forget what you said, man, but were you impressed by this fight? Because this fight was back and forth, and I thought Savannah would be more disciplined. But it was a nice throwback fight.
This is what I was saying, bro. On the round table, it's like, bro, everyone was saying Savannah's going to knock out Franchon.
I didn't say that, though.
Franchon, no, there were a lot of people that were saying that. And it's like, Franchon was, like, homeless, and she's a pro boxer, and she's battled a lot of things. It's going to take, she's not going to get stopped. Honestly, this wasn't a good fight. I was doing other things. I watched a little bit, but I do have a life, guys, and I just don't care.
Drew, and that's why I said I didn't want to disrespect the ladies, but this was an undisputed matchup. Savannah Marshall moving up in weight. Do you think Franchon Cruz?
I love Savannah to death. She's great, and I love Franchon too. But look, my favorite basketball team is the Kings. Do you know how many times they've been in irrelevant games where, even though they're my favorite basketball team, I don't watch them just because I enjoy people. It's 4th of July weekend. I've been working out. I'm by a lake. It's like, watch an undisputed fight that's not that compelling to me, or go play in a lake.
I hear you.
I mean,
It's 4th of July weekend.
It didn't beat it, you know.
I gotta say my man Lukey, by everybody that wants to love women's boxing and hate on people that hate women's boxing. I gotta save them and everything. So I'm gonna take it from here and everything. Here's the thing: when you get the lower weight classes of women's boxing are really competitive. They have a lot more women in it. A lot of them have winning records, have good records and everything. We have some good rankings. When you get up to 160, it's very little, like 15 women in a division, I guess. Half of them have like sub 500 records. And I'm going to say this. You can't call Carissa Shields the greatest woman of all boxer of all time because of look what the fuck is in her divisions that she won it. Like, seriously. Like, let's look at it like that. But this fight Saturday, I'm going to say it like this. This was not a close fight. This was a wide fight. Savannah Marshall clearly won this fight 8 rounds to 2. Now, Cruz made it a little dirty, a little sluggish at
Typical
times
style.
and everything.
Her typical style.
Holding, wrestling and everything. That's typically her
Throwing
shit.
bombs.
Her cup of tea and everything. But she wasn't going to win a fight like that with Savannah Marshall. She wasn't.
I didn't think she would, man. I just hope, like you said, Drew, there's always opportunities to rebound. Maybe she goes up to if there's such a light heavyweight. I mean, we've seen her fight a heavyweight before. There's opportunities.
It was a really horrible matchup for her, and I just don't think it was the right matchup and everything. I think it was like, hey, let's put her in this. Let's take this matchup and everything. Get her some of a payday a little bit. Set her up for something that she somewhat wins, but. This was a bad style matchup for her because Savannah Marshall fights tall, and she had the only chance she had of winning this fight was to get inside and start railing on her and counter her and punch her. She's not that type of fighter. She's a fighter that's gonna go inside, grab, hold, wrestle, punch on the grab and everything. That's what she does. That's what she's best at doing, and. Those haymakers she's throwing, she wasn't going to have success. She was going to get countered easily because she leaves herself open. The only chance she had was to punch with Marshall. And we know she wasn't doing that. To say she was getting knocked out, I don't know what the fuck these people were thinking. She wasn't. I didn't have her get knocked out. First, she was going to lose. And it was going to be, I said what was going to happen. I said to myself, this was going to be a wide decision for Marshall because Marshall is just the bigger fighter and she's more disciplined than that. I think the people are saying when they saw her fight Carissa Shields, it was a wide fight, it was an easy fight. Carissa Shields, no, it wasn't. I had, tell you the truth, I only had Carissa Shields winning by a round in that fight. And there was a couple of swing rounds. You could have gave it a draw, even gave Marshall the fight. It just was not that close, this fight. And like, do we see a Marshall versus Shields rematch? That's the only fight right now that's worth making in the upper weight classes of women's boxing.
Oh, you know we're going to get that fight. You definitely know we're going to get that. It's too enticing to, now that Marshall's has all 4 titles. And we'll see how that plays out. I was recently impressed to finally see a dramatic stoppage a couple weeks back. I forget the two names of the fighters, but the Latina that knocked out the British, she's supposed to be a future star. That was a great story, and that was a great KO. And you don't see it. You don't even see it in the upper weight classes with these women who could seriously throw big bombs. We didn't see a knockout, but we saw one in the lower weight classes. But I want to move on, guys, because it is a holiday weekend, and I know you guys got other things to do. Don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the Shoeshine so you know, and hit that notification so you know when we're going to go on the air. All right, Drew, I'm going to move on to this weekend because it's a holiday week. And there's some two really good welterweights, three really great welterweights back in action. And shout out to Roymon Villa from Venezuela because he earned this fight. This guy was relatively unknown and beats, who did he beat, man, in PBC? Rashidi Speedy Ellis, and that just got him this big win. And speaking, Lukey, shout out to Lukey for coming on. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys follow Lukey at his new YouTube channel. Of course, a fantastic writer, NY Fights, and all the publications he writes for. Make sure you follow his new YouTube channel, guys. Lukey Boxing. It's time, Drew. Welterweights are back in action. The two greatest welterweights are going to be fighting in Las Vegas for undisputed Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford in just, 3 weeks now? But just about roughly 3 weeks. But in the meantime, this Saturday night, we get to see the cream of the crop of contenders that have been vying for an opportunity to fight either of these guys. And one of them, Lukey's talking about going down to the freaking boat in a lake. And Drew, you got to get your ass down to Atlantic City because your boy Jaron Boots Ennis is fighting Roymon Villa in Atlantic City at the beach, at the shore. I know it's not the nicest beach, but shit. Your thoughts on that, man? Because he's the IBF now interim champion is Boots Ennis. That means something. Because he's going to get an opportunity to fight the winner of Bud versus Terrence Crawford at some point. He was the mandatory.
Or he might be elevated to full champion when the winner vacates. So I look at it like this.
I didn't think about that.
It's a good fight. I like the fight. It's his best opponent yet.
Absolutely his best opponent.
I think he wins the fight.
This is a fight. We were supposed to see Rashidi Ellis fight. People wanted to see Rashidi Ellis fight Ennis.
But here's the thing. I think Boots gets a decision win in this fight. I don't think he knocks him out. He hurts him, but I don't think he knocks him out. And everything. I think, Boots is going to show a little more, and he's going to go to another decision win and everything. So I think I'm picking Boots by decision. It's going to be maybe an 8-4 fight, 9-3. And everything. But let's talk about the Virgil Ortiz versus Stanionis fight is very more intriguing because this fight was called off, was postponed a couple of times.
Not once, but twice.
Because Virgil had a sickness, Stanionis had a sickness. Virgil had a delay again because, I guess, of a sickness.
Yeah, I think Stanionis had a hand injury, or he definitely had a physical injury.
Yeah.
And you guys know that Virgil Ortiz had a very rare disease that affects basically his entire endocrine system, his immune system.
So,
pretty serious disease that could be very risky. So I bet that, Drew, we got to bring that up because he's been out of the ring for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. This fight's very intriguing because I tell you the truth right now, if anybody wants to have a fight to bet on, this might be the fight to bet on. Because I'll tell you the truth right now, I'm very, very, very iffy on who I'm picking on this fight because of it. And I'm telling you the truth, I might be picking Stanionis to win an upset.
I think typically, Drew, I would be on the Virgil Ortiz hype train. His streak of impressive performances over at DAZN. He started to put some decent names on that resume, but this long stretch of inactivity, and it's not that Stanionis hasn't been out of the ring, but in Stanionis' most recent performances, he was sharp and he was tested, man. He fought that other Eastern European fighter on PBC. That was one of the fight of the year contenders for me. That fight was fantastic. I've seen him in wars. I've seen Stanionis have to resort to plan B and plan C to edge out a win. And he's also fought at the highest level. And it means something to me. Like the Olympic gold medalist that just got signed by Top Rank. We were talking about Javelov. It means a lot to me that they've seen everything the world has to offer as far as competition, where Virgil Ortiz has not. He's had a fantastic professional career. He trains with some of the greatest, with Robert Garcia, or he did. And he's also been stablemates with so many fantastic fighters because of that. This is a fight. I'm torn too, Drew. I'm very torn. Let me know what you guys think. Will this play out, be a factor on Saturday night, or will this be a Victor Ortiz outclassing someone that looks really good on paper?
I'm going to give you my prediction right now. I'm going to give you two predictions. is I'm going to be good on one of them at least. But the right guy, if the guy I pick wins, is they're both of them going to happen. My first prediction is Virgil Ortiz's knockout streak ends. My second prediction, Stanionis beats Virgil Ortiz this weekend, upset by decision.
It's going to be difficult. Let's not forget Paulie Malignaggi, one of the most famous cases ever. How the judges, but believe this fight's in San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to anyone who's from Texas. But the judges are absolutely going to be a factor in this fight, Drew. Stanionis, not the hometown fighter, not a Texas guy. I think it's going to be very hard for him to get the nod for the decision. So, unless it's very, very obvious, I think that they're going to be looking to favor Virgil Ortiz. I'm just going to say it. But it's entirely possible Stanionis will outbox Virgil Ortiz this Saturday. Unless Virgil Ortiz is 100% fresh and can hit him with that power shot, a power shot that Stanionis has never had, it's still a 50-50 for me. I think it's very likely that Stanionis could outbox an unhealthy Virgil Ortiz. And I'm going to be paying close attention on Saturday night, Drew, because we're all going to be comparing the performances of Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, the two guys mostly people think will be future world champions.
But you know what? I think the best bet on because I bet on DraftKings on DraftKings app. I'm probably going to put a bet down that this fight goes to decision.
Definitely is going to go to decision. How do you guys feel in the chat? This to go to decision or this end in another highlight KO reel? Virgil Ortiz has had some tremendous ones, but I think Stanionis is world class. And I think he has a lot of tools and a lot of things he can resort to should plan A not be working out. Ultimately, I need to see Virgil Ortiz in the first few rounds look like his old self, like he hasn't taken a long layoff and there's no ring rust to shake off. Because I don't think in this fight there's going to be room or time to shake off ring rust.
But I am going to say this, Santino, I'm picking Sonny Edwards to beat Bam.
Oh,
I think Sonny outboxes Bam Rodriguez.
I hope the fight happens. I hope that fight happens. And there's another fight.
It's already been signed, Dave.
Oh, good. Shit, I'm not.
And like I said, Shields. Clarissa Shields said if Sonny beats Bam, she's going on a date with him. She's single now. So
Clarissa Shields is going to go out with who?
Sonny Edwards.
That's crazy.
Hey, what can I say, man? I didn't know she liked vanilla. What can I say?
Shit.
Hey, can I say something? Good for the kid.
Yeah.
Now, give Bam a boxing lesson so you can own that date, bro.
Hey, speaking of the UK guys, I know most of you guys have dumped DAZN, but I still have DAZN. And that highlight reel, go watch DAZN on YouTube for that highlight reel because Dalton Smith had the knockout of the week. I wanted to talk about that, but it's not, I want to say they're UK fighters. They could potentially always be crossover stars. Like you said, Sonny Edwards be a crossover international star, but that was a highlight KO. One of the best KOs I've seen. And there's been a ton of them this year in the sport of boxing.
No, you got to watch what you say. You're going to piss Santino off for saying the whole division looks overrated, saying Bam looks overrated. You got to calm down. I'm going to save you, Nando. Please don't do that. Santino's going to hate on you for a while.
Hey, guys, I know it's hot. It's getting hot for boxing. Maybe we're not getting the best fights we want to see, but July is going to be great. We are finally getting Spence versus Bud right here in Las Vegas. I'm very excited about that. I'll be at Nonito Donair's fight in just 2 weeks at the Cosmopolitan with Frank Martin as the headliner. Super stoked about that. We talked about with Lukey Boxing, Sinisa Estrada on Friday night, the night before the big Terrence Crawford fight. All the boxing fans will be here in town for that one. Charlie Sheehy. Hopefully Luke can get us a Bay Area prospect, potential future contender. Charlie Sheehy, fantastic amateur standout. Hope to get him on the show before that. I heard some shit this week that really bothered me, Drew. We started the show talking about potential ducks. We love to use the word ducking as fans of the sport of boxing.
Quack.
But Las Vegas, straight up from Oakland, you know who I'm talking about, 135-pound undisputed champ Devin Haney told Shakur Stevenson 25%. You want to fight? It's 25% purse split. Take it or fucking leave it.
He knows he did. He did that because he know he won't take it. That's why he did it, because he know he won't take it.
25%.
Give him an offer. He's going to refuse. So I say I try to make the fight.
Yeah.
Evan Haney don't want Shakur Stevenson.
Shakur Stevenson clapped back. He goes, "Come on, bro. You know, wow."
He should just take it and knock and beat the hell out of him just to prove a point.
I like that. I like that. Well, I don't know if he could knock out Devin Haney, but it'd be a hell of a fight. And Drew, you make a good point. Sometimes you just got to say, fuck it, I'll take it, and call someone out on their bluff if you're that confident. This is prize fighting, so obviously you want to be paid fairly. He is a former champion 2 division champ. 25% seems outrageous. Seems like a bunch of bullshit, but I do hope this fight gets made before Devin Haney moves up to 140, because clearly his body's calling for it. Get in there, Bob. Come on. You signed Devin Haney. He still has a fight or two on his contract. I think just one. Make that fight happen. You know, you got to get this fight made. 25% is some bullshit split.
Like, I'm gonna say this, man. Devin Haney is starting to make an ass out of himself. Like, he's gonna show, like, hey, I'm the highest free. He's gonna try to say I'm the highest free agent right now, but like, tell you the truth, man. Nobody's really gonna give a fuck about you until you just sign a contract somewhere. If you sign with Matthew, no one's gonna give a fuck about you. If you sign with Top Rank, hey, there's someone gonna give a fuck about you, because we're probably gonna see a fight that good fights and everything. Because, like, tell you the truth, man, like, that dude, he has a lot of shit that he's gonna have to take now until he makes a decision on who's he fighting next or who's he signing with and everything. But be honest, this isn't about Devin Haney anymore. We gave Devin Haney his 30 seconds of fame on the Shoeshine tonight. And we don't give a flying fuck about him. Devin has no more fights on his deal. He's a free agent, guys.
Oh, okay.
So that was the 3-fight deal was Campos' Trice and Loma was the last fight. So if he wants to go back to Top Rank, he's probably going to have to fight Sakura, Loma, or maybe move up to fight one of these guys at 140.
Teofimo's still under contract. It's
Teofimo,
the natural fight.
Teofimo,
he retired. Shit, I forgot. I forgot what we talk about on our very own show, man. I appreciate everyone who's been joining us on a holiday weekend. I appreciate Drew taking the time out. Don't forget, there's some great welterweight action this weekend. We'll be back next Monday to cover it right here. Shout out to my homegirl, Mom Food. Thank you so much. I wish everybody a beautiful 4th of July with whatever you're doing. Stay safe, stay blessed with your family members, and enjoy the fireworks. Drew, last words?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to play some chess. I'm going to bust some people's ass in chess. And I'm going to enjoy my tomorrow off.
I heard that.
At the end of the day, hey, I come on here to talk my shit. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Oh, jeez. All right, guys, I'm signing off. Dave from the 408, now living in the 702. I'm roasting out here. It's 110 plus all week. I'll see you guys next week if I didn't melt. Peace out, everybody.